3, 2, 1, action. So in the Bones of St. Nicholas, the character of Dick tells the ghost story at the centre of the episode.
Would you like to hear about it? It does involve a ghost.
Oh, now you're talking.
Very often, if we had so much dialogue, we'd have to really nip those sections up so that we could get on to the next part of the storytelling. Whereas in this episode, that was the storytelling. So we were looking for just a great actor who could command the audience's attention.
Oh, call me Dick. Everyone does.
My character, Dick Wilson, is the caretaker of the church. There are 3 people in this church camping out on Christmas Eve. Something called champing. Champing means camping in a church.
Champing is our biggest money spinner. We let them all in.
It does look like the kind of thing you would entice people to do. It feels like people will go, oh, if that's a real thing, I'd like to do it. Especially if apparently the church was haunted.
I'm sure you won't be alone. Merry Christmas, Dr. Parkway.
We did a ghost watch one night, didn't we? I bought you one for your birthday.
Right. Oh, yes, that's right, you did, and for my birthday, yeah.
So for people who don't believe in ghosts, we've certainly chased a few ghosts.
Yes, we have.
The ghost is said to be most present on Christmas Eve, which is an old tradition. This particular night, one of the most joyful nights of the year, can also sometimes be the harbinger of rather alarming things.
I walked over to the Christmas tree, and that's when I saw him.
Simon Callow has this amazing connection with Christmas. We knew that he would be a fantastic person to deliver this ghost story of St. Nicholas. We enjoyed just sitting around listening to him tell that story.
I believe that his restless spirit roams around this site, longing to be whole again and finally to be at peace.
That's always a great moment in a ghost story, isn't it? When the spell is cast. That was very enjoyable to do.
We made time to allow for just the storytelling and just be hopefully held by their acting. And the same with Showman, she was great.
Reece and Steve have a particular sort of vision in their head, and they have a particular way, and when they create the characters, they seem to know who that might be.
Then suddenly she put her hand upon the glass and started to cry.
We knew that she was a really funny actress, but also very emotional and very true, and there's a sort of sadness to those characters ultimately that's revealed in the story about their loss of a child. She was fantastic.
Yes.
It all starts with the writing and the story, and I think that having spent some time now with them, I understand how they make it. They're clever, they're brilliant, they're funny. This piece is happy, sad, it's really exciting, it's Christmas Eve, it's a ghost story, it's all the things that you'd want from watching telly.
We found a church in a place called Rosthorne. We loved the Gothic architecture of it. It looked great outside and inside, but we had to make it feel Christmassy. It was really the decoration of the church that was going to give you that festive feeling. We knew we wanted lots of candles, wreaths around all the pillars, Christmas tree at one end, which was beautifully decorated, a lot of fairy lights. And they worked brilliantly in that space. And our director of photography, Len Gowing, did a fantastic job of making it an inviting space, but also quite a creepy space once you're left alone in it. One of the things in the script that we needed was a bell tower. We had to create a false spiral staircase, I suppose. Our designer, Paul, built a set, which was the bell tower, which meant it was big enough that we could get the camera in and get all the shots we wanted.
I thought that this is quite a big build, and we'll write it, but we're not sure whether we'll be able to get it.
The design of it's probably been on paper for probably 3 months, so that everybody's happy, the stunts are happy, cameras are happy, that we can get the right angles. Spent a lot of time getting the textures of the walls correct so that it matches the church, because there are direct cuts between the staircase in the church tower and the set.
We wanted it to be quite precarious, didn't we, when he's sort of climbing over towards searching for these symbols on the wall.
It was high up on a build, so that Steve was able to walk across the beams in a precarious way, and we could shoot up looking at him. And then, of course, when he eventually has to hang, he was able to dangle between the beams, and we had this quite spectacular stunned.
We came up with this notion that there would be some kind of hook for a lantern. He ends up being hoisted by his own petard.
The difficulties with things like this is making it look realistic and not seeing that there is a harness on him. At no point does he feel anything around his neck. So he sells that. That's where his superior acting skills come in.
It's not a pleasant thing to have to act. We took the film Don't Look Now and the way that ended, where the character has this realization at the end. That was a great inspiration for us. When they were doing the closer work just on my face, I had to look like I was hanging, but really it was just about getting those moments where you see in his eyes that he's remembering and piecing this night together and remembering for every time he saw this figure, he had just then done the very thing that he'd seen earlier.
Tricky thing to write the sequence because it was almost something that we couldn't express really in the writing of it, but you just assume the leap between having the elements to be able to recreate it in the edit, it will work. Yes, I think you understand what he's realising.
You spent ages in the edit on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, a long time. And I think we got there in the end.
It wasn't a ghost.
We're selling it as a ghost story up front, but it hasn't been really.
This whole ghost has not really been a ghost, it's been a premonition of himself before he dies. So it was a warning. And it all just hopefully, in a satisfying way, it all comes together in a way that you're not quite expecting.
Merry